The most important thing I think about when I think about getting to happiness is not so much owning anything, it's the ability to not hear anything but yourself. There's nothing more powerful than when everything gets quiet and the only thing that penetrates is your own voice, and that voice isn't judging you.
Love your family, work super hard, live your passion. It's messages like these that have made Gary Vee one of the most influential people on social media today for young people. No doubt, Gary Vee lives big, and you can learn a lot from him to make yourself successful.
The New York Jets.
I desperately want to buy them, Larry.
You do?
Yes, I do. You know, look, I'll tell you the truth. When I came to America, in Queens and in Dover, I couldn't speak English. Barely speaking any English, and they were playing football, and my friend Eric Godfrey's like, what team do you like? And I was literally like that kid that didn't speak English. I was like, you know, I probably did one of those. And he says, you're a Jets fan. And so I went home and I was like, I'm a Jets fan.
These are 3 of the best reasons I learned from Gary Vee, and if you're looking to make millions and be successful one day, you're going to want to hear what he has to say. Gary Vee taught me the importance of living below my income. I know this may sound simple, but you'd be surprised how many Americans fall into this trap. 63% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck as of December 2022. In one of the wealthiest countries in the world, the USA has over $30 trillion of debt. As a country, the USA spends more than it earns, and has been doing so for quite some time. So it's no surprise that with the access to credit cards, easy debt and payment plans, most Americans don't follow this one simple rule. Americans regularly spend money they haven't earned to buy things that they don't want to impress people they don't like. Exactly like the words of Will Smith.
Why do you own a BMW?
Because I love the car, just the brand, and I love driving it, so I don't know.
So to me, that's where it gets interesting, right? Do you, or do you like what the brand does to make you look to other people? I don't know. I'm not assuming.
I know, you have a point. You have a point.
I know I have a point. I don't know you, but I know in the macro that 98% of people that buy a Mercedes or BMW likes what it makes other people think of them, not that they like it. And that $487 a month versus what they really need, which is $100 a month, is why they have a job they hate, because they're paying for a life that means nothing.
So when Gary Vee talks about how you don't need to buy that new BMW, he's talking to a pretty wide audience of people who probably would be better off with something cheaper. I personally drive an old rust bucket that's fully paid off, and there's no shame in that, because it keeps my expenses low. But the successful entrepreneur had more to share. Gary Vee talked about the patience required to be successful and wait for the right moment to crush the market. Gary Vee gained notoriety by taking his father's company from $3 million to $60 million. This was at a time when most people's businesses were shrinking. Remember the dot-com crash of 2000 and the market crash of 2008? He went through 2 market crashes and came out successful, so he probably knows what he's talking about here. Yet that didn't make him a millionaire. Gary Vee didn't become a millionaire until years after he started his own company, which was almost 15 years after he first took over his father's business. Most people would never dream to work for 15 years at one thing, but the more I study successful people, they all have similar stories. We tend to underestimate what we can accomplish in 15 years and overestimate what we can do in 1. Speaking of patience, the market always recovers. If you want to make money in the long run, you should probably understand what market cycles are. The market tends to correct itself every 2 years, with bigger market crashes every 8 to 10 years and larger recessions every 35 years. If you look back in history, this has been pretty accurate for a long time, though some people say this applies to everyone in every aspect of life. If you're thinking about retirement, the time to invest more heavily is when the market crashes, like in 2020. If you're thinking about building relationships, you get the most meaning out of any relationship in the long run, over a lifetime. Even with health, good habits take time. Listen, being patient and having a long-term view on things, or as Gary says, viewing it from the macro, can be life-altering and is the surest sign that you're going to be successful, because hardly anyone does this. The secret to Gary's success is that he thinks long-term and takes massive action in the short term. That actually brings us to the biggest financial advice that Gary Vee is known for. If you've ever seen one of his videos on YouTube, you probably know where I'm about to go. This view has actually made Gary Vee one of the most controversial figures online. Critics will say that he promotes a lack of balance and promotes ignoring one's mental health in favour of financial success. They may have a point in the short term, but most of the time, they don't really get to the heart of what Gary Vee is saying. Gary Vee starts by saying you should love what you do.
I actually fundamentally believe that if you end up leaving a corporate job or working for the man or doing something that you hate and start doing something that you love and at a much lower cost in the beginning, whether it's you're working a 9-to-5 job and then doing it at night, or you can do it and monetize it, but you're not making as much money as you used to as a lawyer or a doctor, that you'll end up making so much more money too.
If you love what you do, then spending all day and all night on your passion won't feel like work. Instead, it'll feel like therapy. In my case, I love talking about business, and I could do it all day, every day, from sunup to sunset. If you don't like business like I do, then you'd probably think that I'm crazy for talking about it so much. But think about your friend. You know, that friend that's into sports, or the other one that won't shut up about anime. They probably talk about it all day too, and that's what Gary Vee means. The trouble is that a lot of people get into business solely for the money, and not because they love it or want to help people. So, when it gets hard, they suffer or they quit. Like any athlete, it's a lot easier to go through the hard part of improving your skill if you actually love the sport. So if you're going to take Gary Vee's advice of hustle 24/7, at least make sure you're genuinely in love with it. And if you think about it, do you know one successful person that didn't have a moment in their life when they were working all day and all night to see their dreams come to life? Well, I didn't think of any either. Check out this next video to learn about the 3 best pieces of financial advice from billionaire and media mogul Kim Kardashian.